Welcome, my time-ticking terror enthusiasts. You're about to watch The Frozen Time Clock, where the ticking hands hold more than minutes. They hold secrets. Don't let time run out on you. Click the subscribe button and ring the bell icon to join our ghoulish gathering. Alex Chapman was a quintessential example of the modern-day corporate cog. At 40, his hair had begun to betray streaks of grey, mirroring the monochromatic life he led as a systems analyst in a nondescript office building nestled in the heart of downtown Boston. His world was a canvas painted in the muted tones of routine: wake up, work, sleep, repeat. Yet, in the quiet, solitary hours of late-night work, Alex found his solace, where the only sounds were the gentle hum of computers and the distant echo of his own thoughts. The office, a relic of the 80s with its drab beige walls and fluorescent lighting, had one peculiar antique: a brass time clock perched in the corner. It stood as a silent sentinel, a relic from a time when employees punched in and out. Now, it was nothing more than a decorative anachronism. One night, as a storm raged outside, casting flickering shadows through the blinds, Alex noticed something odd. The clock, usually ignored, had stopped ticking. Its hands were frozen at 3:33 a.m. Assuming it was a mechanical failure, he shrugged it off and immersed himself back into the glow of his computer screen. The next night, under the sterile glare of the office lights, Alex's gaze inadvertently drifted to the clock. It was again stubbornly stuck at 3:33 a.m. A sense of unease crept over him, like a cold whisper down his spine. When he mentioned it the following day to his colleague Sarah, a no-nonsense woman in her mid-30s with a penchant for logic, she cast a skeptical eye towards the clock. But in her presence, it ticked away normally, the hands moving with mechanical precision. That night, alone once more, Alex watched as the clock's second hand stuttered, halted, and the office plunged into an eerie silence. The air turned inexplicably cold, breath-forming clouds in front of him. A sense of foreboding filled the room, thick and unyielding. Then a whisper, barely audible, drifted across the room. "Help us," it said, a voice as cold as the air surrounding him. Alex spun around, searching for the source of the voice in the dimly lit expanse of cubicles and office chairs. But there was nothing, only shadows that seemed to dance just beyond the reach of the light. The rational part of Alex's mind screamed at him to dismiss it as a trick of the late hour, a figment of his overworked imagination. But as the nights progressed, the phenomena grew more pronounced. The whispers became a chorus of hushed, desperate voices. Fleeting shadows darted in the periphery of his vision, shapes that seemed almost human, disappearing when he tried to focus on them. His sleep became troubled, filled with dreams of faceless figures and the constant, unending toll of a clock striking 3:33. Alex found himself drawn into a mystery that went beyond mere mechanical failure or office lore. The clock, once an unremarkable fixture, had become a harbinger of something deeply unsettling, and Alex knew, with a certainty that filled him with dread, that he could not ignore it any longer. In the following days, Alex tried desperately to return to the rhythm of his ordinary life. He buried himself in the mundanity of data analysis and system maintenance, hoping to drown out the eerie experiences tied to the time clock. But the office felt different now. Its once familiar corners seemed to whisper secrets, and the shadows appeared deeper, more menacing. He attempted to share his experiences with other colleagues, seeking some rational explanation or shared experience. But their responses ranged from amused skepticism to concerned glances that suggested they thought the late nights were taking a toll on his sanity. Feeling isolated, Alex began to question his own perceptions. Was it all just a product of stress and sleep deprivation? One evening, as he wrestled with his doubts, Mr. Howard, a retired employee, visited the office. He was a man in his late 60s, with a wealth of stories about the company's early days. Alex, seeking any thread of understanding, decided to share his experiences with the time clock. He half expected Mr. Howard to laugh or dismiss it as nonsense. Instead, the old man's face turned somber, his eyes reflecting a deep, unspoken knowledge. Mr. Howard sat down, his voice taking on a grave tone. He told Alex of a long-forgotten tragedy that had occurred in the building decades ago. During a brutal winter, a freak snowstorm had trapped several employees in the office. Cut off from the world, they had huddled together for warmth, but the storm raged on mercilessly. By the time help arrived, it was too late. The employees had perished, their bodies not discovered until the thaw. The tragedy had been a dark chapter in the company's history, quickly hushed up and forgotten. The spirits of those lost souls, Mr. Howard said, they never left this place. They're bound here, tied to something they can't let go of. Alex's mind raced. The time clock, he whispered, realization dawning on him. Mr. Howard nodded. Yes, it was their last link to life, the last thing they clung to in their final hours. It said that their spirits are trapped, reliving their last moments, over and over. Alex felt a chill run down his spine. The whispers, the shadows, it all made a terrifying sense now. He was not just dealing with a malfunctioning clock, but with the echoes of a forgotten tragedy. Why am I experiencing this? Why now? Alex asked, a mix of fear and curiosity in his voice. Sometimes, Mr. Howard said, the spirits reach out to someone they sense can help them. Maybe they sense that in you. Alex struggled to process this. He was no ghost hunter or medium. He was just an ordinary man with an ordinary life. But the haunting whispers and the desperate unseen faces in the shadows were anything but ordinary. Torn between fear and a growing sense of responsibility, Alex knew one thing for certain. He could not simply walk away. These lost souls were calling out for help, and whether he liked it or not, he had become a part of their story. The path ahead was unclear and fraught with danger, but turning a blind eye was no longer an option. The clock had struck, and his journey into the unknown had begun. With a newfound, albeit reluctant, resolve, Alex began his journey into the heart of the mystery surrounding the frozen time clock. He delved into the history of the building, scouring old newspaper archives and company records. Yellowed clippings and faded photographs told the tale of the tragedy that Mr. Howard had spoken of. The names of the deceased stood out, a grim roll call from the past. Each night as the clock neared 3:33 a.m., these names whispered through the office, a sorrowful litany that chilled Alex to the bone. Feeling out of his depth, Alex turned to Sarah for help. Initially skeptical, her curiosity was piqued when she too witnessed the clock's eerie phenomenon. Together, they stayed late into the night, documenting the occurrences. The time loops were the most disconcerting. Moments of déjà vu that had them repeating actions and conversations, a disorienting experience that left them questioning reality. The apparitions were less frequent, but far more chilling. Flickering images of former employees trapped in their last moments appeared and vanished in the blink of an eye. Their expressions were twisted in fear and confusion, trapped in an endless cycle of their final hours. Their investigation did not go unnoticed. An ominous presence seemed to grow in strength within the office. Sinister messages began to appear on Alex's computer screen when he was alone. "Stop looking," one warned. "Leave us," another threatened. It became clear that they were not just dealing with the trapped spirits of the deceased employees, but something darker, more malevolent. Despite the growing fear and the unnerving events, Alex and Sarah pressed on. They pieced together the narrative of that fateful night, uncovering a possible explanation for the haunting. The time clock, it seemed, was more than a mere time-keeping device. It had become a conduit, a link between the world of the living and the trapped souls of the deceased. The deeper they delved, the more intense the phenomena became. Objects moved of their own accord, cold drafts swept through locked rooms, and the whispers grew into desperate cries. It was as if the office itself was resisting their efforts, the malevolent force that held sway there growing bolder. Undeterred, Alex and Sarah discovered ancient lore and testimonials about spiritual disturbances and ways to resolve them. They learned of a ritual, one that could potentially free the trapped spirits, but it had to be performed at precisely 3:33 a.m., the time when the veil between worlds was thinnest. As the designated hour approached, the office seemed to transform. Reality bent and warped, the walls and floors shifting subtly as if the building itself was alive. The air grew denser, charged with energy and expectation. Alex and Sarah prepared the ritual, their hearts pounding with a mix of fear and hope. But as they started, the dark entity that had been lurking in the shadows revealed itself. A manifestation of collective anguish and despair. It was a guardian of sorts, keeping the souls bound to maintain its existence. A chilling realization dawned on Alex. They were not just fighting for the souls of the deceased, but also against a force that had grown strong from decades of sorrow and pain. In a harrowing confrontation, with the fabric of reality seemingly tearing around them, Alex and Sarah completed the ritual. The spirits, including the dark entity, were caught in the maelstrom of released energy. The office returned to normal as the clock ticked past 3:33 a.m., the oppressive atmosphere lifting instantaneously. Exhausted but triumphant, Alex and Sarah watched as the time clock finally moved past 3:33 a.m. The office felt lighter, the air warmer. Alex realized he had not only uncovered a hidden truth, but had also found a purpose beyond his mundane routine. He had saved lost souls and, in doing so, had saved himself. With the final hour approaching, Alex and Sarah stood in the dimly lit office, their hearts pounding with a mix of fear and determination. The ritual, a cryptic series of chants and symbols, lay before them, their only hope to break the cycle of torment, bound to the frozen time clock. As the clock's hands inched toward 3:33 a.m., an eerie calm settled. The fluorescent lights flickered, casting ghostly shadows. The temperature plummeted, their breaths visible in the chilling air. The whispers of the trapped souls crescendoed into a haunting chorus, echoing their agony and despair. At precisely 3:33, time seemed to fracture. The office blurred, shifting into a spectral version of its former self. Ghostly figures of the past employees appeared, reliving their final, desperate moments. Amidst this scene of despair, the dark entity emerged, a formless shadow exuding malice and anguish. Undeterred, Alex and Sarah began the ritual. They recited the ancient words, their voices clear and steady amidst the chaos. The entity, sensing its domain threatened, unleashed a torrent of dark energy. The office shook, walls warping under the strain of the spiritual turmoil. In that moment, Alex felt a profound connection to the spirits and the entity. He realized this was more than a quest to free trapped souls. It was a fight for redemption, a chance to give meaning to these lost echoes of the past and to his own life. His voice grew stronger, driven by a newfound purpose. The climax of the ritual was near. With one final defiant chant, Alex and Sarah completed the incantation. A blinding light engulfed the room, the energy of released souls and the entity swirling in a maelstrom. The office trembled, as if shedding an age-old burden. Then, as quickly as it had begun, it ended. The light receded, the shadows dissolved, and the office returned to normal. The clock ticked past 3:33 a.m., its hands moving freely for the first time in decades. A palpable sense of peace filled the room. The spirits were finally free. Alex and Sarah, exhausted but elated, shared a look of disbelief and triumph. They had faced the unknown, liberated the trapped souls, and in doing so, had discovered inner strengths they never knew they had. As they stepped out of the office, the world seemed different to Alex. The early morning light brought a sense of renewal and possibilities. He had journeyed into the heart of a mystery and emerged not just victorious, but transformed. The experience had imbued his life with a new sense of purpose and wonder. The time clock, once a harbinger of unending torment, now stood silent, a testament to their extraordinary journey. For Alex, it was a reminder that life's most profound mysteries and transformations can occur in the most unexpected places. He had returned not only with a remarkable story, but with a renewed spirit, ready to embrace the mysteries and adventures that life had to offer. As the clock hands unfreeze, so does our chilling tale, but some shadows linger longer than the night. If you were caught in the spiral of the frozen time clock, what time would you want to be frozen in? Leave your timeless comments below. Fright fans, click next for more chills and hit subscribe to join our ghastly gang. You see, who dares to miss out? So watch our next video. So watch our next video.